Welcome back, doston. This is Kahani Suno with Kabir and Sara. I'm Kabir. And if you came back for episode 2, then you thought about Vinod, didn't you? Maybe not all day, maybe just for a moment on the metro or just before you fell asleep or in that quiet space between one thought and the next. You thought about a man sitting in his apartment watching footage of himself doing something he has no memory of doing. And you thought, what does he do next? Well, today we'll find that out. When we left Vinod the last time, he had just arrived at a realization that the chaos surrounding him, the lost job, the collapsed opportunity, the impossible phone call was not random. There was a shape to it, a pattern, and for the first time since this all began, Vinod was not running from it. He was turning toward it. Now, I warned you at the end of episode 1. I said Vinod was about to do something that would make you gasp and make you feel deeply uncomfortable all at the same time. I meant every word of that because in episode 2, Vinod stops being a victim of the correction and decides to test it. ये है episode 2, the correction, need of the hour. Before we start, doston, I would ask you to imagine this. Imagine sitting in your own apartment. Imagine watching a video of yourself doing something you have no memory of doing it. Your face, your clothes, your walk, your hands, doing something that has ruined your personal life. What would that feel like? Vinod turned to Vamshi. His face was completely calm in the way that faces are when the storm inside is too large for the body to visibly contain it. I was not there, he said. I was not there, Vamshi. I was in this apartment. I can prove it. I need to see the building CCTV. The apartment building footage showed a figure leaving his apartment at approximately 1:10 p.m. Blue shirt, dark trousers. The same walk returning at 3:20 p.m. He checked his phone data. There it was. Activity logs, the Swiggy transactions timestamps, app usage, everything confirming that at 1:10 p.m. his phone was active, in use, in this apartment. Two realities, both apparently documented, both apparently true. Vinod sat on his floor that night, knees to his chest, and said to no one in particular, "What is happening to me?" He went to see a psychiatrist, Dr. Mehta. Dr. Mehta was a quiet woman with an office full of plants and the unhurried manner of someone who has heard everything and judged nothing. Vinod liked her immediately. He told her everything from the beginning, the weekend parties, the missed Monday, the CCTV footage from his own building, the impossibility of it all. Dr. Mehta listened. She asked carefully, specific questions. She did not look alarmed, which was either reassuring or concerning. Vinod couldn't decide which. What you're describing, periods of activity that you have no memory of, this is something we take seriously. There are conditions that can cause this, dissociative states, or episodes related to alcohol use can sometimes create blackout periods during which people are functional and active but form no memory of what they have done. I wasn't drunk on Monday, Vinod said. Not drunk, no, but your system had experienced 3 days of heavy drinking. The aftermath of that is complex. The brain is still recovering. I remember everything about that day, Vinod said. I remember specifically. I can tell you what I watched. I can tell you what I ate. Memory is reconstructive, Vinod, she said carefully. We don't record our days like a camera. We piece them together. Sometimes what we believe we remember is not quite what happened. She prescribed some mild relaxation medication. She told him to be mindful of his alcohol intake. She told him to come back if anything similar happened. He walked home slowly. He told himself, okay, maybe it was a dissociative episode. Maybe there is an explanation. I can live with that. I need to find a new job. And for a few weeks, things were quiet. Then the second incident. The interviews went well, better than expected actually. Vinod was good at his job. That was never in question. He was offered a position at a newer company, good culture, solid tech stack, a better package than what he had been earning before. He walked out into the afternoon sunshine feeling something he hadn't felt in weeks: hope. He received the offer letter that evening, read it 3 times, replied with his acceptance, careful and professional. He slept well that night. The next day, he waited for the confirmation call. It didn't come by noon. He called them. The HR manager picked up. Her voice was different from the day before. Cooler, more careful. Vinod, I'm afraid the offer is no longer available. Silence. We received your email accepting the offer, but then last night you called. You told me you had decided not to join. You also mentioned something we should know about why you left your previous organization. You said you hadn't resigned. You said you'd been terminated. Vinod's mouth went dry. You were quite apologetic, she continued. You said you didn't think you were the right fit for a company with our values. I did not call you, Vinod said. His voice was terrifyingly steady, like a rope pulled so tight it had gone beyond trembling. I did not say any of those things. Vinod, I spoke with you. I recognized your voice. 6 minutes. Is there a recording? No, I don't record personal calls. He thanked her. He ended the call. He checked his call logs. There was a call to her number from last night, 6 minutes long, made at 11:47 p.m. He had been asleep by 10:30. He went back to Dr. Mehta. He told her about the call, the 6 minutes, the sleeping, no memory of it. What you're describing sounds like it could relate to a parasomnia, she said. Sleepwalking, in the broader sense. Some people during partial arousal from sleep can engage in complex behaviors, making phone calls, sending messages, with no memory of it afterward. She adjusted his medication. She asked him to consider a sleep study. He left her office less assured than before, because something was growing in the back of his mind. A pattern. Both times, the office incident, the job call, he had been caught in a lie. The first time, he had too much of alcohol and hadn't informed his office about his absence. The second time, he had hidden from his new employer the circumstances of his termination. Both times, something had corrected it, had gone out and told the truth. He stood on the footpath outside Dr. Mehta's office and he thought about that for a long time. Now, doston, this is where our story shifts gear. Because Vinod, despite everything that had happened to him, was not a stupid person. He was confused, he was frightened, but he was observant. And he was starting to see a shape in the chaos. He began to test it. The first test was small. A woman in his new office had a purse his girlfriend Rina had been looking for something similar to. He didn't ask to borrow it. Instead, he felt sick doing this. He waited. She was away from her desk and he took the purse, took it home, put it on his table and waited. The next morning, The woman, Priya, looked at him with that particular mixture of betrayal and disbelief he now recognized. "Why did you take my bag?" she said. He apologized immediately. He returned it. She was understandably not very happy. Test confirmed. Whatever was happening had reached out again, had returned the purse, had apparently called Priya on his behalf and confessed. He sat with that for several days and then he planned something bigger. I need to pause here again, guys, and tell you something about Vinod's state of mind. He wasn't planning his larger test out of malice. He wasn't in his heart a criminal, but he had arrived at a place of desperate curiosity, the kind that overrides fear, that says, I need to know. I need to understand what this thing is, and the only way to see it with his own eyes was to make it appear. So, he went to the departmental store. He wore a mask. He went to the cash counter area. He waited for the right moment, and he grabbed the cash bag. He ran. He got home. He put the bag on his kitchen table, fat with notes and coins. Maybe 30,000-40,000 rupees. He didn't count. He sat in his chair and stared at the bag. Then carefully he locked his apartment door, pocketed the key, and went down to the small hotel across the street from the departmental store. He took a room on the second floor, positioned himself at the window, and watched. He waited. He did not know what he was expecting. A person, a shadow, something. At approximately 8:30 in the evening, a figure walked into the departmental store. Vinod's breath stopped. Even from the second floor window, even though the imperfect lighting, he could see the white shirt, the dark trouser, the walk, the precise measured walk that he recognized the way you recognize your own handwriting. It was him, or something that looked exactly like him. Vinod was running before the thought was fully formed. Down the stairs, two at a time, across the street, heart hammering. He pushed through the store entrance, scanned widely, saw the flash of a white shirt moving toward the back exit. He ran. He burst out of the back exit and into the lane behind the store. He looked left, right, there, a figure, white shirt moving fast, threading through the crowd at the lane entrance. He ran harder. He caught up. He reached out. He grabbed the shoulder hard and the figure turned. And it was a completely different person. A confused, startled stranger in a white shirt who said, understandably, What are you doing?" Vinod looked at him, looked back at the store. He let go. He went back inside. The man at the counter looked at him. The bag, the money that was taken earlier, was it returned? The counterman looked at him with the expression Vinod was becoming very familiar with. "You returned it yourself, sir, just now. Don't you remember?" After the departmental store, Vinod stopped testing, not because he wasn't curious anymore, but because he was afraid and because he had a new, deeply uncomfortable understanding of what was happening. It wasn't random, or even if it was, at the mechanical level, at the level of cause and effect, it was something else entirely. Whenever he lied, it corrected the lie. Whenever he deceived, it removed the deception. Whenever he took something that wasn't his, it returned it. It was, in the most literal sense he could imagine, a conscience that stepped outside his body and started acting without him. He tried one more time, a friend depositing money in his account to show real estate agent he had funds he didn't have, and again it happened. The deal collapsed. Vinod himself had called, apparently, and told the agent the truth. Vinod sat in his apartment and laughed. Not happy laugh. The laugh of a man who has been outmaneuvered by his own soul. He stopped lying, not because he was suddenly enlightened, but because it didn't work for him anymore. Someone, something was watching and correcting. And here is what happened over the months that followed. Without the lying, he was simpler. There is something exhausting about managing deceptions that most of us don't consciously notice until the deceptions are gone. You stop tracking which story you told to whom. You stop the mental overhead of constructing alternative realities. You just say what is true. His new job went well. His manager respected him. His colleagues liked him. He got a raise within 7 months. His relationship with Reena steadied. He had, in that chaotic period, briefly had become interested in a woman at his office named Jyoti. He had even proposed to her impulsively. She declined immediately. Being engaged to someone else, he went back to Reena, told her honestly what had happened. Another call had already beaten him to it. Sat with her pain and promised her, for real this time, that he was going to be better, and he was. He was less stressed, he slept better, he was slowly becoming the version of himself that Reena had always believed existed. But he still didn't know what the thing was. His friends planned a trip, a hill station, one of those places in Western Ghats that gets cold and misty even in the warmer months, where the air smells of pine and damp earth and city feels like a rumor from another world. 6 of them went. Vamshi was there. Their friendship had survived everything, which tells you something about Vamshi. Reena came out. They rented a small homestay, cooked their own food, played cards at night, the kind of trip that reminds you why rest is not optional. On the second morning, Vinod woke up before dawn. He didn't know why. He came awake completely and suddenly, the way you sometimes do in unfamiliar places. The room was dark, the house was quiet. Outside, the first pale suggestion of morning was beginning at the edge of the sky. He dressed quietly and went outside. The air was cool and sharp with mist. The valley was still dark below, a vast, empty darkness that made the world feel enormous and your own presence in it feel small. A small bird called somewhere and was answered by nothing. There was a wooden bench near the edge of the property, positioned to face the valley. A simple bench, weathered, grey, old. Someone was sitting on it. Vinod stopped. He told himself, hiker maybe, early morning walker. These hill stations attract that type. He walked closer. He saw the back of her head, short hair, a familiar slope of shoulders, a blue shirt, of course, a blue shirt. The figure turned before Vinod reached him, as if he had heard footsteps that hadn't yet been taken. And Vinod saw his own face. He had imagined this moment in various forms since the office footage. He had expected terror, but he felt instead a strange calm, a calm of a question finally reaching its answer. He sat down on the bench next to himself. For a while, neither of them spoke. They looked at the valley together. The darkness was thinning. The mist moved slowly between the trees. And then the other Vinod spoke. "You want to understand," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Vinod said. The other Vinod was quiet for a moment, searching for words. There are periods when the world tilts, when the weight of dishonesty and self-interest reaches a threshold, when enough people are living at enough distance from their own conscience, and that something has to compensate, has to correct. Vinod listened. It doesn't happen to everyone. It isn't meant to be punishment. It is meant to be a recalibration for people who are not bad but who have drifted, for people who have the capacity to be different but haven't yet needed a reason. What are you? Vinod asked. The other Vinod looked at him and smiled, a strange, knowing smile. The kind you give to a question you find a little bit funny. I am you, he said simply. The part that knows. And then the mist thickened for a moment, the way mist does in hill stations when the temperature shifts with the rising sun, when it thinned again. The bench was empty. Vinod sat there alone as the valley slowly filled with morning light. He went back to his friends. He woke Reena up gently, apologetically, and sat on the edge of the bed and told her everything from the beginning, from the office footage to the department store to this morning on the bench. Reena listened. When he was done, she was quiet for a while. Then she said, I think your mind was taking care of you. I think that deep down you knew what you were doing was wrong. And some part of you, some part that was braver than the rest of you stepped out and fixed it. He didn't argue with her because maybe she was right. Maybe the explanation was neurological, psychological, the extraordinary architecture of human mind under the pressure of its own conscience. Or maybe there was something else, something that the old stories knew about. The idea that the consciousness is not entirely private, not entirely contained within the skull. That when a person's inner compass and outer behavior drifts too far apart, something reaches out and brings them back. Vinod did not go back to software engineering, not permanently. He began moving gradually towards something different. He started volunteering. He started speaking about ethics, about the invisible cost of everyday dishonesty, about the strange liberation of simply being the same person on the outside as you are on the inside. It grew into something larger. It always does when it's real. And this is the word that reaches me when I hear this story. A messenger, someone who carried forward in his own imperfect human way, a lesson that had taught to him in the most impossible, inexplicable, undeniable fashion. And so, dosto, this is the story of Vinod. I leave you with the question I promised at the beginning. Was there actually another Vinod? Some external force? Some guardian of truth? Some projection of cosmic correction that walked through the world on his behalf, making right what he had made wrong? Or was it always Vinod himself? The deepest part of him, the part that knew the difference between what was right and what was easy, finally finding a way to be heard. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But here is what I think is true, regardless of the answer. The world tilts slowly, almost imperceptibly. The weight of small dishonesties accumulates in office, in families, in conversations, and transactions. Nobody notices, nobody corrects. And then sometimes someone is recalibrated, sometimes painfully, sometimes, as in Vinod's case, in ways that defy explanation. And they come out the other side a little more themselves. Maybe that is enough. Maybe that is the whole of it. Take care of yourself, doston. Be a little more honest today than yesterday, not for anyone watching, not for fear of consequences, just because the part of you that knows. This has been Kahani Suno with Kabir and Sara. If this story moved you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think happened on that hill station bench. Do visit our website www.kahanisuno.com. Until next time, suno dhyan se, listen carefully because the best stories are always already inside you. Take care.